really is an So this really is an opportunity to write an essay. It can be challenging and it can cause a little bit of stress for many people, but I don't want you to look at it that way. I want you to look at, a different way where you can present yourself to a university. We'll talk about the basic structure of an essay, how to generate some ideas with some activities. We got 2 of them. You will need a pen and paper, so if you need to grab that real quick, please do so. Different ways where you can maybe improve your vocabulary. What makes up a good essay? What are those characteristics? Frequent mistakes. I've been, head of admissions. I've been working in this field for over 20 years, and I've read a lot of applications and a lot of essays. So I'm going to share with you some of the mistakes that people have made over that time and share that with you, and hopefully you won't make those mistakes either. And then finally, just some resources that you can go to if you have more questions. So why is a statement of purpose or college essay important? It is part of the application, and it allows you to present yourself to a university, to an admissions committee, a little differently. Most of the time people think of, well, when we're looking at an applicant to see if we're going to admit them, we're going to look at their grades and test scores, and that's it. And you'll find that in the United States, this is much different. Yes, we do look at test scores, we do look at grades, but we also look at things like letters of recommendation, what extracurricular activities you have participated in over the years. And then finally, we want to see that essay. We really want to know, what is that person up to? Why do they want to pursue their field, and so forth. So think of it as it's another way to showcase your dedication to your studies. Why do you want to pursue the academic program that you want to pursue? Why is that important to you? Your life experiences, your academic experiences, your talents, your accomplishments. And again, think of this as every challenge is an opportunity. Now, some schools, as they present you a list of topics, and we'll go over what some of those topics might be in the next slide, but sometimes they'll let you take pictures or do videos. So this one, I happen to like this one. This is on YouTube. It's called Jill in 1000 Frames. And she wrote this essay, and it was a stop motion animation. And she put that out there, and that was in place of her college essay. So she didn't actually write anything. She made this video. So some schools may give you that opportunity. Other times, they're going to be very specific with what they want you to write. So what might be some of those topics? Now, these are taken from what's called the Common Application. When you apply directly to a school, they may have their own topics. But these are the ones that are for this year for what's called the Common Application. If you're not familiar with the Common Application, it's one way to apply to a bunch of different schools with one application. And they will ask you to complete an essay. And these are the 7 topics. They've remained mostly unchanged for the past 3 years. Number 4 is new. Reflect on something that someone has done for you that made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. That's something that's new. What I think I see most people complete is number 3. When me personally, when I'm reading essays, I can see that they completed number 3, where they've reflected on a time where they questioned a challenge or belief. So they've always been told something, they always did something, that's the way we've always done it. And now they're saying, well, wait a minute, why do we do that? And is that the best way to do it? So that's the most common one that I get. Other schools may have something very specific. Why do you want to study at my university? Why do you want to study in that field, that academic course, and so forth? So when you're trying to generate ideas, where if something's very open, and you may get posed with that question, where the subject of the essay might be, why do you want to study here? Or it might just be completely open. Here's some 6 steps that you can think about that could kind of help you generate some ideas. So what are your long-term goals, or your long-term goal? It might be a certain thing. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an engineer. It could be something. I want to work at a particular company or institution. So what is your long-term goal? What's important to you? What do you value? What matters most in your life? Maybe it's family, or your studies, or different, sports, activities. What matters to you? What motivates you? Some people say, well, I really love chemistry, and I love the mathematical equations that are associated with chemistry. I really get excited about that. We're discovering new things when I'm in a biology lab. Those would be some options. How do you affect others? How do you affect people's lives? How do you make people feel good about themselves? How do you, maybe you've done different charitable activities, made some donations, spent time with people, gave clothing, read books to children, whatever it might be. And then number 6, what will you bring to the institution you're applying to? What are you going to bring to my university? There might be certain characteristics that you have. And when you're going to do that one, and I put it at the bottom, make sure you research the university you are applying to. This is important. So if you go to a university's website and you go to the About Us section, or maybe you're going into the search bar and you could put in the word mission. You put in mission or core values, something will come up, and then you'll be able to find out what that school's all about and what they're looking for in their applicants. So on the master level, and I don't think we have too many people here for the master level, what is being asked for are clear, concise statements of interest. We want to know what your long-term goals are. So what is going to be your contribution to the field? And this might be, by attending, and whatever that school is, York College of Pennsylvania in this case, I'll be able to pursue my dream of, and then whatever that dream is. I'll be able to help my country, my people, my community, my economy, whatever that might be. Maybe what impacted your decision to study a particular area, business, biology, chemistry, engineering, pre-med, whatever it might be. And why are you interested in that school? So master level topics, if you're prepared to answer each of those 5 items, you'll most likely have a very good essay. Now, one of the things that people get stuck on a little bit is, how do they build up their vocabulary? Maybe, with English being most likely your second language, how do you kind of broaden your sentences, your structure, your vocabulary? You might be finding yourself using the same words. Another mistake that I see is people will use words that don't exactly fit into a sentence. Like, the meaning might be right, but doesn't really fit right. So one way to do that is to learn root words. You can look at a Latin root word where English derived from in many cases, and then find out what that is. So in this case, aqua, which means water, that's associated with aquariums or aquamarine. Aud means to hear, audience, audition. Auditory means to hear something. So if you see any of those little root words anywhere, you kind of have an idea of what that means. Another way is just do a simple Google search and just type in words that begin with the letter B or BA, whatever it is you want to work on, and you'll be amazed what comes up. If you don't recognize something, You can click on that word and find the definition. And of course, a good old thesaurus function in Google works well too. Now, when you go to write the actual essay, you want to choose a font that's easy to read, basic. Don't worry about being fancy. So I put in there a bad font when it looks like someone's actually writing it. Clear, typeface, Times New Roman, or something else that's very simple. At least 1.5 or double space. You got to remember that admissions officers are reading many essays a year. So we might be reading, hundreds and hundreds of essays. So you want to limit your statement to 1.5 pages, no more than 2. Don't go beyond 2. Sometimes people will want to add that, yes, I have, all these things to say, but what gets lost is when that is 3, 4, 5 pages long, your essay gets lost. And as I'm reading hundreds of essays, I'm just going to start skimming at that point. And the intention of you sharing all this information is now lost. If you're a master level student, read the prompts very carefully. The prompts may change from one academic program to the next, even though it's the same university you're applying to. Most likely your professors will be looking at the essay. They'll be the ones reading it. And they also may be judging how well you can follow directions. So if you get the essay prompt and you don't answer the essay prompt properly, they're thinking, okay, well, here's an instruction I gave this student just now and they couldn't do it. They didn't follow directions. What's going to happen when they're in my classroom? That's what they're going to be thinking. Again, basic font, 1.5 or double space. Make it easy for people. So what's the basic structure? You have the introduction where you're really going to set the tone. You have the body of the essay where you can kind of get into a little more detail. And then the conclusion where you're going to summarize the essay and give a final persuasion as to why you should be admitted to that university. All right, so let's give an example of an essay that I received last year. All right, so I'll read this to you. I am at Alfred DuPont Hospital for Children, and my appointment has finally begun. I'm sitting on the nurse's lap, and I'm about to have my blood drawn. I'm feeling very anxious and tense, and I notice that my mother's feeling this way as well. However, once the nurse puts the butterfly needle into my vein, I know that I am safe where I am, and I know nothing bad or dangerous will happen to me when I am in the hands of the nurse. This was a nursing applicant. So I'm reading this. This is how the essay begins. So they're setting the tone. They grabbed my attention. They were a little specific, but that's okay. They definitely did the first 2. So as I'm a reader, I want to know what happens next. This is really interesting. In the body of the essay, you're supporting the introduction. You're building off what was said. This is where you can get a little more specific. You may include facts, personal observations, experiences that you had, whatever it might be. And you're starting to build evidence and setting up that final argument in the conclusion. So let's go to the conclusion and see how that essay ended. Now, I won't read the whole thing. I'm going to start in the middle here. Be it interacting with various types of patients as a summer volunteer on the respiratory floor at DuPont Hospital for Children, or talking to fellow students while donating blood for the first time at my school's annual blood drive. I've learned to communicate with others who may be scared in a positive and reassuring way. With this, I hope to leave a positive impact on many people as nurses did with me. So I just from the introduction and those last few sentences, in the conclusion, I know why they're interested in being a nurse. They've made that very clear. They've told me how they've been interested and how they've participated in the field, even though they didn't even begin studies with me yet. So this is someone who's very interested in the field, and I'm looking at this, I'm going, okay, this is someone who's going to be a good student, they're going to be very involved, they're going to be passionate, and they're going to be a good alumni once they graduate. So again, with the conclusion, you want to stress the points, the main points of the essay. They definitely left a lasting impression on me. I'm thinking about and thought about so much, I included it in this workshop. How about that? Why the argument matters and why the student should be admission. Just their passion alone. I'm saying, okay, this is somebody that I want in my school. So let's talk a little bit more about some different characteristics that are good that you might want to include and some you may not want to include. All right, so the first one is no negativity. Don't complain to the committee. Even negative situations, you can find a positive. So if you're looking at something and you're complaining, you're saying, I didn't like this or I didn't like that. What really strikes to a committee will be, this happened to me and this is how I overcame it. If you can turn a negative into a positive, that would be great. Don't be one-sided. In the United States, you'll be studying with people all over the United States and all over the world. And in many schools, and I know York is one of them, you're asked your opinion in class about a certain topic, a theory, how you feel about something, and we want to know what you think. And because you have people from all over, you're exposed to all these different perspectives. And not one perspective is right, but we want to share those perspectives and understand each other and where they're coming from. We want to share those experiences because we might be hearing something in a different way for the first time because I don't know you and where you're from and your perspective, but I want to understand that because when I'm solving problems, if I don't understand everyone's perspective, my problem isn't really solved. It's more along the line of checking a box. Be unique. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, how to be unique. Stand out from the crowd a little bit. Everybody has different life experiences. Don't embellish. Be authentic in your essay. We want you to be authentic. Be specific. Get to the main point quickly. Again, we're reading hundreds of essays. So when you're applying, get to the point. Don't write 3, 4, 5 pages. All those characteristics are very important. Before you submit that essay, have someone proofread it. There's a little cartoon there where the student wrote college and he only put in 1 L. Sometimes little mistakes happen. Happens all the time. Have someone else read it. One of your parents, teachers, someone at Education USA, whoever. Have someone else look at it. For me, it's always been helpful to allow time to pass between revisions. I find that poor essays are written when someone just says, I'm going to write my essay and turn it in right now, and they're done in an hour. That tends to not work out so well. You want to begin your essay, write a rough draft, think about it, come back to it the next day or 3 days, and do a series of revisions. You will most likely have a very good essay or a much better essay than if you tried to write it all in one sitting. And do not write beyond your capability to use complex words. So we talked about root words, going into Google, looking at a thesaurus, those types of things. I often find that people will try to overdo it and use complex words for the sake of using complex words so they can sound smart, and it usually backfires on them and does the opposite. So as we're reading your essay, what are we thinking? What are the admissions committees thinking? Here's a couple. Can the applicants succeed at my university if they're admitted? That's the number one thing that I want to know. When I'm reviewing your entire application, and especially the essay, are they going to be successful and are they going to graduate on time? That's really what I want to know. How can they contribute to my university? Are they going to be involved in class? Are they going to be involved in different activities, different organizations? Are they going to help other students? We kind of want to know that a little bit. What is their motivation or their passion behind what they want to study? Your academic course. Why do you want to study engineering or business or education? We want to know that. Can the applicant communicate their thoughts and ideas? What kind of alumni will they be? So when you graduate, when you even attend a school, you're partnered with. And when you graduate, you continue to be partnered with that institution. They're looking at you to go do good things. And you're looking at them to support you not only through the 4 years, but beyond. Does this person demonstrate short-term and long-term goals? And is the person resilient? Do they handle challenges well? So many of you are in secondary school now, and you want to go and get a bachelor's degree. That's a transition in and of itself. That's one transition. To do it in a different country adds a whole nother layer to that transition, makes things a little more difficult. And not everything's going to go smoothly. It's a different education system. It's a different culture. It's a lot of different things. Not everything's going to go well. And there's going to be challenges. There's going to be problems. If you can overcome those problems and overcome those problems in your essay, that's really good. That's good stuff. All right, some final words before we get to our activity. Beware of websites, articles, agents who are going to charge you a fee and say, if you follow my advice, I guarantee you'll be admitted. You don't need to pay for advice. You've got Education USA there. You've got a lot of people who are going to help you. You have your teachers. Do not pay for essay advice. You don't need to. Start early and allow yourself enough time to think through all of your options and revise as you move forward. The essay is important. It is not the only thing that determines your admission. And some other things that determine your admission, believe it or not, is luck. And that's a whole other presentation. And just think, if you ever do receive a rejection letter, you did not get rejected. You did not get denied. Your application was denied. A lot of times when you're applying to universities anywhere, including the United States, it's by sheer luck in some cases that you get admitted or not. Do not copy, or what we call plagiarize. Don't copy something from the internet. We will most likely find out. Many colleges and universities in the United States will have a software that we use that we can load your essay into that will scour the internet. It will read different places on the internet and then send us a report back. And it'll say, okay, a certain percentage of this essay was taken from online word for word. If it's like 45%, that's a red flag for me. I want to know what's going on there. If it's something like 5-10%, that's, it's fine. It's usually very minimal, might be a phrase. All right, now we're moving into our activity here. A lot of the common complaints that I get from students is, I don't know what to write about. My life is boring. Nothing ever amazing happened to me. Your life may seem ordinary to you, but where you're from is special, and who you are is special. There's only one you. I'm an admissions officer here in the United States. I've never met you before. I'm not that familiar with your country, with your history, with your culture, with your food, traditions, I'm not familiar with that. Enlighten me a little bit. It's kind of like when you're going to school every day, you might pass a tree or a building or a forest, wherever it might be, and you see that every day. And when you see it every day, it becomes less special. But that tree or that building or whatever it is, it still remains special. There's something that it has for a person who sees it for the first time. Like, wow, that's really neat. I never saw that before. So this is what I want you to do. Everyone's seen one of these before, I would think. I would hope, right? It's an apple. And someone might say, it's an apple, it's boring. I've had a million of these over the years. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to describe this object in 2 to 3 sentences. It could even be a phrase. And put that sentence or phrase in the chat. So that's your first activity. That's what I want you to do right now. So go ahead and do that. Throw it into the chat. If you're hesitant to kind of put that in there, what you can do is when you go into the chat, instead of having it go to everyone, you could just have it go to me. Or you could have it go to Education USA. And then I can read it privately and we can go from there. But this is your first one. So think about the characteristics, the history. If you're not familiar with the apple, actually has a very amazing history.
Just want to jump in if someone needs translation or if there is anything unclear thus far, or you would like me to quickly translate, you can use the chat option to write privately to me as well, to Education USA. I do want to mention, Christian pointed this out, Education USA can read and proofread, give feedback on your essays for free. I have posted up in the chat the website, so all of our contact details are there. But for now, I will let you get to the activity. And I'm looking forward to reading the sentences.
All right, so I have one here. And it says, a nutritious red orb. An orb is like a sphere. So that's one. In the next one, we have a red and green sphere. How's that? 2 different colors. Even if you want to write it in your own language, and then we can translate it later.
Yes, ako želite pisati na našem jeziku da opišete jabuku 2 do 3 rečenice slobodno, pišite u chat, ja mogu prevesti, nije nikakav problem. Nemojte se libiti, molim vas, ovo je jedna super vježba da nekako počnete razmišljati možda kreativnije o nekim svakodnevnim stvarima koje viđamo u našem životu kao što je jabuka. I just translated it. If anyone needs translation, I'm here. They can put in our languages in the chat, the description.
All right, we've got a couple coming in. One person wrote, Sarah, thank you. A red roundish palm fruit. Nice, very good. Here's another one. A tasty fruit which majority of the people like, is often used in many phrases. The most popular one, the apple, doesn't fall far from the tree. Meaning, in my opinion, is that we have a connection to something. Very good. That's excellent. I like that one. Next one is apples are known for a variety of reasons. They're known as a fruit, but also as part of the body, religion, and famous mobile industry. True, it's a company. Very nice. Okay. All right. The next activity that we're going to do, these are all good. I like these. All right. The next one is we're going to write out an alphabet, A, B, C, and so on, all the way to Z. You don't have to go all the way to Z right now, but I gave an example here. You're going to write a keyword or phrase that comes to mind that describes you. So A for appreciative, B for baker, C takes chances, D dreamer, E energetic, so forth. Whichever ones you want to use. These are the ones that I wrote. And then you're going to pick 3 of them. And when you pick 3, then we'll talk about it and maybe you can make a theme. And you can place these 3 right in the chat. So I did A for appreciative, takes chances, and I like to help others. So I'm very appreciative of where I've come from and what I have now. So I like to give back and help others. And sometimes you really have to put yourself out there and take chances and do things that maybe might make you feel uncomfortable in order to help more people. So that would be part of my essay, and I would build off of that. So why don't you take a moment and write out, you don't have to do the entire, alphabet, English alphabet, but just do a couple and then start to put some words right there into the chat. All right, so as you get them, just put them in that chat there. All right, here we go. We have some coming in now. Responsible, adventurous, and organized. All right. So Arena, thank you very much for that comment. If you're willing to, if you want to put on your microphone and tell me a little more about that, especially adventurous and organized and responsible. Tell me a little bit about your experience with that, or some of your life experiences that you've had that led you to writing that. Okay, you want to type it? Go right ahead. All right, so adventurous, you like to travel. You like to see new places and experience new things. So if you're traveling, you do need to be a bit organized. To keep things in order and control. Okay. I could see how that would relate to responsible. So if you were writing an essay on this, it might be that you're adventurous. And when you go on adventures or trips and see new places, maybe not everything goes the way you want. Something can go wrong. But you're very organized. So if you're very organized, you can probably overcome those challenges pretty quickly. Anyone else to put in 3 words? Okay. Cooperative, realistic, and funny. We have approachable, ambitious, and organized. Good. So Alan, when you wrote ambitious, what is it that you would like to, what is it that you like to do? What are some of your goals? You could either type it or just turn off your microphone and answer. Business. Okay, all right. So one of the things for business is, if you're organized, but for now school, yes. If you're organized, I'm going to say, do you like things like finance and economics? Okay, all right, very good.
We got one more. It's written independent, appreciative, and giver.
Ah, okay.
Thank you, Mila.
Thank you. All right, let me share with you some more resources that you can use when you're doing your essay. All right, so there's 5 different links here. The first one is Essay Edge, just a blog on the statement format that you can use. The next one's Khan Academy. So the Khan Academy is partnered with the College Board, the same people that kind of give out the SAT exam. bigfuture.collegeboard.org, get in essays. We have GoGrad for someone who's looking for a master's degree. And there's something called Grammarly.com. There's a free version, and then there's a paid version too. The free version will help catch errors and things like that and give you some suggestions. All right, we do have something else in the chat. Let me go back to that. Cooperative. I work well in groups and always split out the work amongst ourselves in what we do best. So projects in particular. Sounds like good leadership skills. I have realistic expectations of what will happen. Not optimistic or pessimistic, kind of like something in the middle. And funny, when the mood is down, you like to try to lift everyone up. That's great. We have ambitious and organized, and hardworking. So you can really start to build, as you see these words, you can start to build off of that and say, okay, And it's just a simple exercise, but it can kind of get you thinking and start going. So if you get stuck on an essay as to what to write about, this is a great exercise to kind of help things move along a little bit. All right, so I'd like to give you an opportunity to ask any other questions and put them into the chat. And if you know, as you're typing, I'd be more than happy to answer questions about this topic or other topics about higher education in the United States. In the meantime, while you're thinking of that, I'm going to talk about York College of Pennsylvania for just a moment. We are a university, and we use the word college. This is different from the UK system. So a college and university, those terms in the United States is quite interchangeable. It's kind of the same thing. We were established in 1787, so we're 234 years old. We have approval and accreditation for our programs in engineering and computer science from ABET. ABET is an international organization that has looked at the quality of our professors, the subjects and the curriculum that students take, the equipment and facilities that are available to those students, and they then put their stamp of approval on our programs for engineering and computer science. This is a big deal for schools in the United States. It takes at least 5 years to get, and a number of applications and inspections. They do site visits and so forth. So that is a big deal, and we're ACPS BSP, for business. We are located on the East Coast of the United States. We're close to Baltimore and Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia. We have a lot of new facilities, new residence halls, we have 2 engineering buildings, a lot of new amenities for students. We are known for our courses in engineering, business, computer science, biology. A lot of students want to be a doctor, will study biology and go into the pre-med track, marketing and communications, and of course, chemistry. And there's more. We see more marketing majors in recent years, and more students wanting to study international relations. We offer something called CPT. CPT means internships. So we do offer internships to students while they are studying here in the United States. OPT, it's kind of like an internship, but that's after you graduate and you get paid an American salary. You can do that for 1 year in the United States if you're studying in a STEM field, science, technology, engineering, math. If you're studying in any one of those areas, you can do 3 years in the United States and make an American salary. We also offer something called co-ops. Co-ops are specifically tied to engineering students. Now with co-ops, you get 3 of them during your studies, and you work at a company full-time, 40 hours per week, and you take 1 class. So you get reduced tuition because you're only taking 1 class, and you get paid like a real job. Students are making on average about $740 per week. So that's a really good salary. So you get 3 co-ops that equal at least 42 weeks. 42 times 740 is $31,000, over $31,000. And you get reduced tuition. So it makes things very affordable. We are SAT optional, so the SAT exam is not required. You are not penalized in any way for your scholarship or for your admission. We take IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, Pearson. If English is not your first language, or if you're studying at a school where English is not the medium of instruction. For a master level degree, we do not require the GRE or GMAT. Our tuitions are quite low by US standards. Bachelor level tuition is under 23 and sometimes under 22 in some cases. If you want an MBA, these are all 2-year programs, and that would be $11,000 per year for an MBA. You're not going to find many schools that have that low tuition. And we do have some small scholarships available. All right, we do have a question in the chat here. Does a good SAT score improve our chances of getting acceptance and a full scholarship? Yes, it does help. Anytime you can provide evidence that you're going to be a good student, that helps your chances with being admitted. Full scholarships are offered at York, but they are very competitive. Last year we had, I think, about 250 applicants and 6 students were awarded the full tuition scholarship. So it is very competitive. So there were 244 people that did not get it, that applied for it. But as you would imagine, it's given to the most gifted of students. But 2 students were international students. Next question. What type of funding is available for international graduate students? Is there an RA or GA opportunity? So because the tuition by US standards is held quite low at York, the only scholarship that I know of is for the MBA, and it is small, about $2,000 or $3,000 per year. You do need to apply for it. RAs are given to undergraduate level students where they can get a job. You need to be in your 2nd year in order to have that. GAs, we don't have graduate assistants. So that doesn't happen. We don't employ graduate assistants. All professors teach our other students. CPT and OPT, is it also available for graduate level students? Yes, it is. You can do CPT and OPT. We have some students doing it right now. This is my contact information. Should you have, the question about, writing essays, or you want to see pictures of campus, I got an Instagram there, or YCP_international_admissions. If you want to see some pictures of campus, you can absolutely do that. I'll post, what's going on in the area. So right now it's funny, it's apple season and pumpkin season here in the United States. So we went and picked pumpkins last weekend. There's apple festivals this week. So we're going to be doing that, I think this week and next. That will be available. Then the weather will start to get much colder. I am on WhatsApp and I am on Telegram. I'm even on WeChat and Line and Zalo. Rare that you would have that. It's mostly for Vietnamese students. And that's my email there. Another question here. Can a candidate apply for master's in CS if he has a different background? So we don't have a master's in CS. We have a bachelor's level in computer science. But we have had people, I have one student now, she's from India. Her background was engineering. She studied only engineering, but she's coming to us to study for an MBA. The MBA programs we have are Master of Accounting, Business Administration, of course. There's Public Policy and Administration. There's Marketing. There's people, Master of Behavior Analysis. That's for teachers. Those are some of the programs that we have on the master level. On the bachelor level, there are 70 different programs. And some that you may have never heard of before, things like supply chain management. That is a program where, think of the COVID vaccine. How do you roll that out? How do you get it to people? That's a supply chain issue. So how does that happen? The device that you're using to watch this workshop right now, if it's your laptop computer, if it's your phone, where did the glass come from? Where did the plastic come from? The circuit boards, where did they come from? How was it assembled? How was it distributed for sale? That's supply chain management. There's entrepreneurship and innovation. There's business analytics. There's all kinds of different things. All right. Any other questions before I turn it back over to Education USA? We're just about at 1 hour. All right, back to you then.
Thank you, Christian. This was wonderful workshop. I'm glad that the students participated. Thank you all for joining. I will stop the recording now.